Welcome to our Thursday 21st special meeting of the Board of Newark. Sorry, there's an echo in here. To the Newark Unified Board of Education special meeting. And with that, let's have roll call, Ms. Aquino.
President Martinez.
Here.
Vice President Gutierrez.
Here.
Member John.
Here.
Member Nguyen.
Here.
Member Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay. Just 1 second. I wasn't able to hear. Are we okay now? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 1.3, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Ready? Begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We move to item 1.4, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as is?
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the audio, but I believe Member Gutierrez.
Ray made the motion. I second it.
Thank you. May I have a vote, please? Member Gutierrez?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And my vote is a yes as well. So motion carries with 5 ayes. So the next item is public comment on item 2.1. Item 2.1 being update on the high school principal hiring process. Sorry, am I on the right page here? And with the recommended action that the board, sorry, hang on 1 second. That the board postponed the hiring process of the high school principal until after July 1st, 2020. So that is the agenda item. We do have a total of about 22 requests for comment. Just given the time and the time of the meeting and the fact that we have a regularly scheduled meeting, I will be leaning on our board bylaws 9323, meeting conduct, item 5, around the limit up to public input. So what I will propose is that we do limit public input on that particular agenda item for 20 minutes. Then we will engage in the discussion where the board will have the opportunity to comment and take action if needed. Assuming that we end on time, I would propose that we continue the comments after that. If we run out of time and run into the regularly scheduled meeting, I will have to recess this meeting and continue this meeting after the end of the regular meeting to finalize the reading of the comments. Okay. And with that, Ms. Aquino, I'll go ahead and get a timer going for you.
Point of order.
Go ahead, and you will be reading them in the order received, correct?
I have a point of order, please.
Member Martinez, Member Rodriguez has a point of order.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. When you said recommendation, normally it's staff. Who's recommending the action for tonight's meeting, special meeting? The recommendations coming from who?
It is recommended by the board.
Okay,
it's a board action. I'm
want
so
to be
sorry.
sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. So with that, you can go ahead and start when you're ready, Ms. Aquino.
I am writing to voice my concern over delaying the hiring process for the principal.
Sorry, 1 second, point of order. Char's microphone is on mute.
I am writing to voice my concern over delaying the hiring process for the principal position.
I'm sorry, before we start, I have another point of order.
Each week we delay. I'm also concerned we could lose our current interim principal, Ms. Rangel, to another district. We have lost
Point of
far too many
order.
talented individuals over the past 5 years to surrounding districts. Please allow us to move forward with finding an Newark Memorial High School principal. Feel free to call me with any questions. Thank you, Brian Kawabata.
Okay, I have a point
Ms.
of,
Aquino?
Concern.
Ms.
My
Aquino?
name is Yon Kim, and I am a
Excuse me,
parent of a
excuse
student
me.
of Newark Memorial High School class of 2022 and parent of a 2019
Okay.
alumnus. I was looking forward to a prompt schedule for the interviewing and hiring process for the principal position. I learned today the hiring timeframe is possibly being delayed till at least July. This continuing trend of last-minute hiring of such impactful positions is extremely concerning. Pitfalls of such a last-second process include the best recruits will be claimed by other districts and Newark Memorial High School will be relegated to leftover options. Any last-minute hired principal will not have adequate time to acclimate to the unique needs.
I don't know. You want to go in the playroom? You don't have to have the headphones on?
Yeah, nobody's gonna go in there.
We'll tell the kids not to.
I'm sorry, is there a point of order?
Yeah. As you read these, there's gonna be
Member
individuals,
Rodriguez, I can't hear you.
there's gonna be individuals that are gonna be named in the comment.
Am I the only one that can't hear Ray?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I can hear him.
Okay, let's hang on one second because we'll get David in here. Apologize.
Unplug the, okay. Yeah. Here. Naya, get the papa, please.
Ray, can you try again?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we could hear you now.
Hold on, give me a second.
Sure.
Can you close the door, please?
I'm waiting for Reese.
Each one of these public comments is going to name an individual. Now, do we want to not name the individual when we read it because of privacy, or are we just going to read it as the public comment comes to us, the whole thing per se?
Member Martinez, I would recommend that the public comment be read as is because our agenda topic is not about personnel. Our agenda topic is specific to process, but
Okay.
not sure what you think.
I agree. I just wanted to make sure we understood that. But,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
I can't hear what he's.
Ray, they're just on hold a little bit because they're having trouble with the mics, but I can repeat later on if needed.
I'm so sorry that we're having a sound issue. So
Right.
Can you please repeat the question?
I heard you very well. So my question was as to the public comment, naming somebody in there to make sure that the community understands that we're reading the public comment as is with the individual's name if it's named in the comment itself. Okay, that's it.
Okay, and I believe that's what always happens, correct? I mean, when if we were not in a virtual setting, the individuals submit a comment card, they would submit their name. And so I think everybody would know who that is. So I think if they've submitted their name in their comments, our intention is to go ahead and read as is. Is there,
Yeah, that wasn't what
is
I
there
was,
guidance from anybody else on the meeting? Member?
that wasn't what I was referring to. What I was referring to was if we get a text or a public comment and they're naming an employee in there, I want to make sure that the community knows we're doing it as is and reading.
Oh, as absolutely.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
The assumption, I believe the assumption has to be that if we were in an open, this is an open meeting, so if folks were in here in public, they would submit their request to speak, and I assume the intent would be that they would basically be reading this statement themselves. Is that a fair assumption?
President Martinez, I think it was just an emphasis that we as a board currently are not talking about individuals. We are talking about
absolutely not. Absolutely right. And we'll make, when we get to the item ourselves, we'll talk about the fact that this is a process. We are not speaking about an individual. This
Exactly.
is the community's prerogative to ask. Okay, so we do need to get moving on this because we're on a time schedule. I'm sorry?
We're naming the individual in the public comment without their permission. And the reason we're doing that is because it's a public comment and we are supposed to read the whole thing because it's virtual. So
yeah, this is not, it happens to be our exec assistant reading, but this is not the board speaking. Absolutely. I think that's a good distinction. Okay. Please proceed, Ms. Aquino. I will go ahead, and I only took 1 minute off of the last time. So
I will continue, right?
yes, please.
Knowing that that acting principal Rangel has done an extremely effective job in her first year with very little time to transition, I feel our children have been very fortunate, but we can't continue to roll the dice like this year after year. It's just irresponsible and irrational to keep taking such high risks if we don't have to. Starting the hiring process for a principal so late in the hiring season jeopardizes the school's stability in such a pivotal time, recovering out this traumatic pandemic term. We need to be extremely thoughtful during this critical time to plan for a successful hire for our students and staff. Please either keep to the planned interview schedule or defer the hiring effort and allow the current principal to be retained for another year, guaranteeing essential continuity during such a critical year of recovery. Regards, Young Kim. I've been a teacher at the high school for 26 years, and in that time, I have 15 principals. There are some things I have learned from this. We always start by thinking they are awesome. Somewhere in their tenure, they have issues with the district office. We think that changing them out for someone else will solve all of our problems. Olivia Rangel has brought a calm to our school. Our staff morale is way up, and the students have come to respect her. She has done more with less help than many of her predecessors. We need to come to our senses and hire her quickly before she runs away from this district. Gordon Crosby, Newark Memorial High School. I have 2 children enrolled at Newark Memorial High School this year. My oldest is a junior, my youngest a freshman, and a third coming in a couple years. There has been no consistency in administration during my children's time at Newark Memorial High School and well before it. My family is a strong supporter of interim principal Olivia Rangel and is immensely disappointed that interviews for hiring a Newark Memorial High School principal have been postponed. We have hope with such an outstanding job that interim principal Rangel has done this year that she would find herself the best among the pool of those interviewed and be hired as the permanent principal. Please do not postpone interviews. My children, other than Newark Memorial High School students and the Newark Memorial High School staff, deserve consistency and timely support through having a permanent principal hired as soon as possible. Sincerely, Nicole Haba. Honorable school board members, I am writing to urge you not to delay the hiring process for the high school principal and instead to move forward as originally scheduled. As the only assistant principal here at Newark Memorial High School this year, I can only speak to the need for a permanent high school principal, but also given the unusual and difficult circumstance of education in the time of COVID-19, the critical need to hire and have in place a qualified permanent principal is now. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, which has caused teachers, students, families, and administrators to make enormous changes in very little time. We need to have a qualified, knowledgeable, and thoughtful leader who knows our community to be able to spend the summer planning and co-creating the Newark Memorial High School education in the 21st century and in the time of COVID-19 looks like. In short, we need Olivia Rangel. Please do not further delay the hiring process. Olivia has shown time and again over the course of this exceedingly challenging year that she loves this community and cares deeply for her students and absolutely can do the job of a high school principal. We have a tremendous amount of work ahead of us this summer, and as we plan for 2021 school year, and we need a leader in place now. Please move forward with the interview process as originally scheduled. Thank you for your consideration. I encourage the board members to not repeat the past practices of all too often failed Newark students, families, and staff. When the district and board waits to the last minute to hire a certificated management employee, you are giving up the opportunity to hire a highly qualified educator. From my understanding, the principal's contract begins in July, and if you withhold the principal interviews until after June, then the applicant pool that remains may not be the best possible fit for Newark Memorial. Principal Rangel has graciously and humbly done a fantastic job as principal this year. She has worked through losing an assistant principal in October and managing a Newark single comprehensive high school during the school closure in response to COVID-19 pandemic. Hiring a brand new principal for the high school has the potential to be disastrous. Another candidate may not be familiar with the Newark community and the high school staff, nor will she fully understand how to build upon the distance learning protocols that are currently in place. The board is elected to make difficult decisions, but ultimately these decisions are to be made with the best intentions for our students. I want you to keep in mind that the graduating class of 2020 has already had 4 different high school principals while attending Newark Memorial: Huerta, Bretz, Bernard, and Rangel. And if you decide to hire a new principal, then the graduating class of 2021 will have had 5 different principals in 4 years. If the board approves postponement of the hiring process for the high school principal, then the board's goal is evidently not for the benefit of students, community, and staff, but rather the goal is to appease district administrators. If transparency to the Newark community is important, the board, then the obvious decision is to deny postponement. Dear NUSD board members, I am writing you with such disappointment in learning that the NUSD is once again at the table discussing who will be the principal at Newark Memorial High School. My daughter, who is graduating this year from Newark Memorial High School, really suffered with poor leadership until this school year, where you brought in Miss Olivia Rangel. This year, the school was much more in order. Parents were updated, students were more happier. Miss Rangel is very approachable and has proven herself. What more do you want? You allowed 3 years prior to this year for things to be such out of order, and now we find someone that parents and students are happy with, and again, we are interrupting what is working. This is just unacceptable. I have an incoming 9th grader, and I cannot imagine going through this again. We are losing people, and I have sat in many of your board meetings, and I don't think you really care about what is best. So much shuffling around. The question is, why are you removing Miss Rangel? Is it because of her qualifications, credentials? Well, now she has 1 year of being a principal on her resume. She did a wonderful job. Invest in people like her. If it is a matter of credentials, keep her as interim and have her advance her credential requirements. There are many ways around this. Don't make this mistake of losing a good person. Another great example of losing a fantastic employee is Miss Hughes Kennedy, elementary school's principal. We are losing great people. Newark is crumbling into pieces, and you are not doing anything about it. I urge you to revisit the idea of keeping Miss Rangel as a Newark Memorial High School principal. Offer her a 3-year contract. Don't lose her. Another city can hire her as a high school principal now that she has experience. This will happen. Please take parents' experiences into consideration. We're the ones who deal with the day-to-day experience with our kids in the school. Thank you. Melody Amersh.
Sorry, I think we were having some issues with Miss Aquino's feed. I did pause the timer.
I'm back.
Okay. Most honorary board members of Newark Unified School District. I came to learn of the delay in the hiring process of Newark Memorial High School principal. This saddens me. Any successful
Pause timer. I think the same issue. It's happened a couple times. It goes in and out. Her feed goes in and out.
All right, we're gonna have another second. Just relaunching Ms. Aquino's connection.
Not sure if you want to, I'm just thinking, I don't know if you want to finish reading them yourself.
Yep, I suppose I can read myself. We'll give it another couple seconds here. If not, I could read.
Only because I'm looking at the time. It's already 5:24.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Okay, I think she's back. I want to unmute Shar and just give it a try.
Okay. Any successful venture needs to have a plan. To have a plan, you need to start.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to go ahead and hang on. I let 15 seconds go. All those. You can hear me though?
Yes.
Okay. Shar, can you bring the laptop over here and I'll just read that way? Or you can read and just get in my feed actually if you want to. I know it, just bring the chair over. Or do you want me to read? Are you okay reading? Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, ready? Yes. Am I unmuted? Go up there it is. Am I muted? No, I'm good. Okay, go ahead.
A high school plan is not a switch that can be turned on and off and be ready to go on short notice. This needs a couple of months of somebody at the helm with dedicated time and commitment towards planning and executing towards success. Newark Memorial High School kids deserve success for whatever the school year brings in 2020. There's been plenty of disruption so far this year. Please do not extend it. For the sake of our kids and of us parents, please do not delay our principal hiring until August. Jerry Castellino. I am not the type to write public letters, but I have to be heard about this. I have been teaching at Newark Memorial High School for over 22 years. I have seen drastic ups and downs of our high school community because of the lack of consistency in principals. There has not been much stability since when I was initially started working here, when the first principal was leading and delegating our campus. It was different, and we, teachers, students, parents, loved our school. Then she retired, and there have been a minimum of 17 different principals since. Over the years, we have lost many extraordinary teachers because of this constant change in principals. Olivia is bringing back the reason why I fell in love with this school. The process of hiring a new principal at the last minute has hurt us in ways that anyone off of our campus does not understand. Olivia Rangel came back. She has a better understanding of who we are and what we are capable of because she was a teacher here. She is doing a superior job in representing and leading us, teachers, students, parents. Don't have a date on the calendar. Decide what is best for all of us. Do what is right and let Olivia decide whether she wants to return to our school since we all want her. This pandemic has made things especially difficult, so let's do something positive and work through this together. Carla Collins. My name is Cesar Castillo, and I am the outgoing student board member. My comment is for two purposes. First, to condemn the titling of item 2.1 and its purpose, both real and alleged, and second, in support of Miss Olivia Rangel in her effort to remain principal of Newark Memorial High School. There is an obvious disparity between update on the hiring process and postponement of the hiring process. It should be the agenda writer's goal to make agenda titles both descriptive and brief. The title as it stands only satisfies the latter goal. The board does the public a great disservice with this action. Fortunately for the public interest, everyone's already monitoring you to make sure you don't pull a fast one on us So your shoddy public record keeping is a moot point. By the way, your minutes for May 2nd and December 19th of 2019 are missing from the Newark Unified website. I've got a joke for you. How many Newark School Board members does it take to realize you're about to make a mistake? You can have as many as you want. They still don't get it. Apparently, I haven't been very clear over the last 2 years. Nothing major that you've done is in the best interest of your students, which, as I understand, is your top priority. Your effort to push Ms. Rangel out of contention for the principal position is misguided and morally wrong. 3 times now you're trying to ruin job security during the corona pandemic. You're trying to get away with it later tonight after I convinced you to delay votes. I understand you might want to let the new superintendent weigh in on the new principal. If that's your reasoning, it might actually make sense, but it probably isn't. Maybe she ruffled your feathers, said something you didn't like. Do you want to know why that might be? It's because she's constantly looking out for the welfare of the students at Newark Memorial. It's because for the first time in the last 4 years, Newark Memorial is under stable and caring leadership. Ms. Rangel is doing her best to provide for us and ensure that we can succeed, no matter what challenges we face. Instead, she's up the creek without a paddle because of a poor decision-making on your part, board members. You don't know how to select administrators. You don't know what's best for students. You seem hell-bent on running the flagship school in the district, the one that's supposed to show off your world-class education you so falsely advertise to the few parents who still have confidence in this district. I don't know, maybe you don't think the principal won't even matter because we're likely to have remote learning in the fall. Maybe you think you can run the high school from your thrones. You can't. When you go into closed session, make the right decision, save your own reputation if that's all you care about. Thank you. Dear NUSD School Board, I'm writing to voice my concern over delay in the hiring process for the principal position at Newark Memorial High School. We moved to Newark last year and my child is in Newark Memorial High School. It is really painful to see that there was no principal permanently posted in that position. This affects the school, staff, and the students. It is important as a community to provide our children the better future through the best education. At present, this is possible through appointing a principal, and this should be our first priority. We really need to have a principal in place as soon as possible to plan things ahead for your next year and years to come. Thanks, S. Shitra. Please do not postpone the principal hiring interviews. We need to keep it because we need to have a leader going into the new school year, however it looks like. We can't have a new leadership start at the same time when school starts, as this would cause chaos and confusion for all stakeholders, especially our students who have gone through enough during shelter in place and distance learning. The emotional toll is already weighing heavily on them. On a personal note, please keep Ms. Rangel as our principal if she is willing to accept the position permanently. Her leadership has been timely on communication, and just as importantly, she has shown compassion to students and families during these trying times. I know we all want what's best for our kids, so please listen to their parents as we know what's best for them. Thank you, and please be well. Lena, sophomore parent at Newark Memorial High School. As a parent and aunt of children in Newark Unified School District, I am certain it is critical that interviewing commence for the Newark Memorial High School principal. In these unprecedented and challenging times, strong leadership is needed to help our children continue their growth in education. The Newark community cares deeply about our teachers and educators, and I hope you decide to proceed. I am available for additional comments if you like. Ellen Armijo. I would recommend continuing the interview process for the new Newark Memorial High School principal position on May 22nd as originally planned. This will allow the selected person to have as much time as possible to plan for the 2021 school year. As we know, this is a challenging time, and allowing the new principal the full summer to come up with a plan and several backup plans for the coming year seems like the best way to move forward. The candidates were told of tomorrow's date and should be ready for their interviews at that time. I do not see any advantage in postponing this process. However, I do see several advantages in selecting a principal sooner rather than later. Jody Anuncio. I've experienced many different principals as a teacher of Newark Memorial High School for the past 7 years. Even with all the chaos this year has brought us recently, I would want to have gone through it with any other principal than Ms. Rangel. While 1920 has been a wild ride with the loss of an assistant principal early in the year,
Principal Rangel and Assistant Principal Strom somehow have made this the most calm year on campus to date. From the very beginning of the year, the campus has felt more at ease. As Ms. Rangel was coming into her leadership position,
There's something up with our connection here.
What, both of the screens are unmuted, so there's an echo, but it's okay. It's not as bad as long as we can keep moving.
okay.
As Ms. Rangel was coming into her leadership position, she was communicated transparently and has gained the trust of our staff. It has been a joy to have a competent principal that was also a previous colleague from across the hall. I have experienced Ms. Rangel's love for the community through her work as a teacher and as the Assistant Director of Special Ed, but this especially shines through her work as principal. No one denies that being a principal is a hard, never-ending job, but somehow Ms. Rangel smiles through it. It's fantastic when a stressful staff meeting is relieved by Ms. Rangel's sense of humor. SPED teachers have had a special sense of humor to survive the job, and I think it plays wonderfully to her strengths as principal. We cannot delay the hiring of a principal till after July 1st. Newark Memorial High School deserves a principal that is willing to commit, not just in a word, but fully. Olivia Rangel has shown us through this unexpected crisis that she will not give up, has an immense strength of character and a determination to do things right for our community. This year, Ms. Rangel has fully earned the title of principal. Please consider delaying the hiring of next year's principal to after July 1st. Please reconsider delaying, my apologies. Newark Memorial High School needs stability for the next year. Finalizing hiring will provide a lot toward that goal. Sincerely, Laura Williamson, teacher. My name is Carissa Robinette. I'm a teacher at Newark Memorial High School. I'm writing in again today to express my concern about postponing the interview process for the hiring of our principal until after July 1st. This is a huge concern for students and staff. By July, most principal contracts have already started, and quite possibly Ms. Rangel may have moved on to protect her career future. This means that once again, Newark Memorial High School may be forced to select from the lesser qualified candidates because most principals may have already been assigned. Since I started at Newark Memorial High School 2 years ago, I have seen three principals come and go. Our current interim principal, Olivia Rangel, has done an outstanding job in being the strong leader that we need at Newark Memorial. She has built a solid foundation with staff and has remained transparent along the way. Olivia continues to amaze us even after losing an assistant principal early in the year. She has led students and staff fearlessly even during this crisis. Olivia's constant communication with students and staff is something that we haven't had before. She truly cares about the students' success and well-being. Day in and day out, Olivia works tirelessly to ensure students' needs are met in the best way she knows. Staff feels appreciated and supported.
Thank you, Ms. Aquino. I'm not sure how many more comments we still have, so we will attempt, assuming we have time after board discussion. Otherwise, we may have to recess, as I mentioned earlier. So with that, we move to item 2.1, which is the recommended action being the board will vote to postpone the hiring process of the high school principal until after July 1st, 2020. And if I could get a motion in a second to open discussion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Member Gutierrez moves. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, Member Nguyen, a second. So I just wanted to give a little bit of background. First of all, I wanted to comment that we did agendize the item correctly. We are speaking about process. We are not speaking about individuals. Hence, it's an open meeting, and it had to be a meeting in open session because it is about process. So I just want to make sure we, there is no question about that, and we fully intend and want to be transparent. With regards to the timing, and specifically why July 1st, I wanted to give that background to everyone, to the board, and to the public. So effective this last Monday, the board, we as a board did identify a finalist for superintendent. We obviously can't communicate who the individual is because obviously we are still just in the process. But given that the intent is for the new superintendent to begin their function on July 1st, and being that this is such a critical and such an important hire, we wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to be part of the process. We are not dictating the process. That is not our role as the board, but we can determine and give direction to Acting Superintendent or Superintendent Salinas around the timing. So that is all we're here to discuss. And with the intent, once again, of allowing our projected or expected new superintendent to be part of the decision-making process. So that I wanted to share that that background so everybody understood, and I wanted to open up any, if the board would have any questions or clarification.
If I may, I just would like to share. It seems like every 5 years since I've been on the board, we have a change of superintendent, and so the current administration is good until June 30th, and the new administration starts July 1st. And sometimes in the month of June, if we have administrators that leave and we go through the process, it ends up being in June that we're having the discussion on the hire. And normally the new superintendent would want to be part of that. Now, in reading the comments that came in, a lot of them were asking that the current interim principal be retained in that role. And it's obvious that the current administration didn't want to do that because they started a process to hire a new one, which is normally the right thing to do. From my understanding,
point of order, and sorry, Member Rodriguez, to interrupt, but that's actually not what we're doing. We're not, and excuse me if I took your words in the wrong manner, but we are not specifying or giving any direction to not hire the current superintendent, the current principal, the current interim principal. All we are saying is that whoever the candidates are, if it includes Ms. Rangel or anybody else, we're not giving any direction into that. All we're saying is that same process that they are doing, move it, delay it a little bit later, and if Ms. Rangel so happens to be a candidate, then she would be a participant in that later process.
Yes, and actually, again, point of order to all of us. Let's refrain from using names. We are not here to discuss an individual. We are here to discuss a role, right? And again, we have very clear our role as board members. We do not pick, we do not identify the who, but we do determine, we can give direction on the process. I'm sorry if I interrupted, Superintendent.
no, that's okay. I just wanted to.
I apologize, just respectfully. We had the intention for our district has been to always follow a process. This was not a direction from the current administration to not follow the process or to follow the, I mean, we have just always from the beginning, this was a posted position. And so I just wanted to clarify that because I thought I might have misunderstood that you had said that it was something different about a change of administration. And that's why it was an interim.
Absolutely. And from, let me bring that all the way back because there was a comment there that may imply that. From the very beginning, the current role that we have has an interim leader, right? With no names, that is where we've been from the prior superintendent. For one reason or another, here we are, right? And we are 1 month away from, frankly, a new superintendent being part of that process. So that is all we're having the conversation about.
Right,
it's
and I understand
that.
A reaction
to, right.
Right. I understand it's about the process, and thank you for Superintendent Salinas for clarification. So the board has always wanted a process. So we're in the process now, and the initial panel was going to meet tomorrow. So that's the process that's in place right now, and we're asking it to be basically put on hold for, let's say, 30 days. So what I'm asking from the current administration now is, if we continue with the process the way it is right now, when would we have a candidate that you would bring forth for the board to look at?
But
And I'm talking about the process the way it is now.
right, Member Rodriguez, but that is not the action that we have on the table. So I think that what I would like to entertain is questions or comments around concerns
No,
about
it is.
the postponement.
Right. And I am asking the question, okay? In order for me to make a decision,
Gotcha.
I have a decision whether to continue the process that's in place right now or delay it 30 days, let's say, okay? So I'm just trying to understand if we don't delay it, then time-wise, where would it put us when the recommendation will come to the board for the principal? That's what I'm asking. That helps me make a decision
Gotcha.
on the process.
So
Yes, so I can share, and if you saw the item for the regular board session, that's right after this, we have there listed what the process is and it has the timeline. But to give you a short synopsis, the hiring process was going to start with a panel starting tomorrow, and then there's steps along the way, reference checks, and certainly final interview with myself and with cabinet, and then bringing a name to the board on June 4th. Is what's written down into the
so
item.
June 4th is the intended, Mr. Member Rodriguez. Any other comments from or questions from other members of the board?
No, I just have something to finish up. So what the recommendation is from the board, President Martinez, is that we delay the process.
Correct.
And can you explain the reason why you would want to do that? So I understand it.
Oh, so I will repeat where I started, and the intent is to delay to have the process start after July 1st so that the new superintendent be part of the process. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Member Zhang.
Yeah, so yeah, I also want to talk about the timing and the part because I just heard your reasoning. So we have a board where 3 of us are not selected by the people, we're appointed. And we have 1 that's retiring. Some of us might not run in November. Some of us might run and end up losing in November. But that didn't stop us from selecting the next superintendent. Because if we use that logic, this current board shouldn't select the next superintendent. We should wait after November to select the next superintendent and let the new board do the job. But because our duty ends in December of this year, it's still within our duty and our job to select the next superintendent. And currently we have an administration that have a timeline, and we have a sitting superintendent right now. I would just really want the current administration to do their job. So I wouldn't support delaying this.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments, questions?
Okay, if nobody else, then
Okay.
I'll chime in. I do not support delaying it because the new superintendent, when he comes in, he's going to have all the administrators that are already at the sites. He's going to have ample opportunity to assess and evaluate all his administrators or her administrators. Now, if the principal at the high school is chosen, then the new superintendent is also going to have that opportunity our administrators are hired only for 1 year. It's a 1-year contract. So the new superintendent will have the opportunity to look at each one of the administrators and decide where to go from here based on the evaluation this coming year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one quick comment, Member Martinez, and looking at the time, I won't take too long, but I do want to say that I think it is very important that since we will be, since we are taking on this new superintendent soon, I think it is important that part of the role is also engaging with his current team, but seeing where there's any wiggle room to enhance the team that we currently have. And I do understand that the current our current staff will fill that person in. However, I think it's going to be, being that the high school is such an important aspect of our district, I think it's important that that new candidate or that new selected candidate endeavor into taking this great task. So I would ask my fellow board members to please consider it, because I think it's an important move and an important decision for a new superintendent to take on. Thank you.
If there are no more questions or comments, I will ask Ms. Aquino if your audio is working to repeat the motion and that's on the table, please, for a vote.
Motion to postpone the process. Motion by Member Gutierrez.
Can I hear it? Lucia's shaking her head. That she
Motion by Member Gutierrez, second by Member Nguyen.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, and so with that, Member Zhang, your vote.
No.
Member Rodriguez, your vote.
No.
Member Gutierrez.
Yes.
Member Nguyen.
This is tough. And I have to say no because what Bowen had said.
Okay. Well, my vote is yes. So the nays have it. So the process will not be postponed, and will carry on as expected tomorrow. So this is the intent of these public meetings, right? To have this discourse. I want to comment on some of the input from the community where I think there's a sense that that we are trying to intrude and maybe put a hand on the scale. That's not our intent ever, right? But our intent is to think about always the health of the district. And yes, of course, we care about every stakeholder, but above all, our students, right? So I hope that everyone understands that these kind of conversations and discourse we will always attempt to have in as much as possible in the public eye. And again, anytime when we are talking about process, you expect us to have a conversation out in open session. Okay. So with that, we do have some, yes, Member Nguyen.
So before going into this, and I was definitely in favor of having the new superintendent be a part of this process. But in light of everything that we had just gone through the last week and everything like that, and the comment that Member Zhang had made, it is true. We did, as a board, decide to move on to selecting a new superintendent, and we knew very well, you know, that we might be a new board come November, and that logic sits, you know, with me, and I'm comfortable with the decision of saying no.
Yeah, and actually to your point, I haven't weighed in in terms of why I brought this topic to the board, because it was me and I take ownership and responsibility. I don't see it as a parallel to Member Zhang's, you know, with all due respect, I don't see it as a parallel. We are talking a 30-day delay, right? With an individual that we have to make a long-term commitment, and we have an awesome responsibility as a district. We're putting an awesome responsibility on to this individual because it's our high school. It's a lot of other things that are important. So I think that it was, from my perspective, it would have been the right thing to allow them to have a voice without any disrespect to our existing folks, right? But anyway,
So
Member
Martinez, can I just add one more
well,
comment?
actually, hang on one second. I don't know that there's any point in additional comments, given that we are, an action was brought, it was defeated. I think that we could wrap up. There are some additional comments. We have about 8 minutes. How many? We can certainly continue to read them, as that's what I stated we would do. Okay, let's do that.
My name is Sarah Canales. I'm the Activities Director at Newark Memorial High School. I'm asking that the board weigh the decision and pushing
back the principal interviews and consider the fact that waiting any longer will only continue to hurt the stability of the high school. I've taught at Newark Memorial for 7 years and we've worked under 7 principals. This is not an ideal situation for anyone involved. We want to create a level of excellence and to put our students first, but to give our students a revolving door of administrators is creating an unstable learning environment and creating a lack of trust between the board and the community. To wait until July will mean the loss of precious planning time to prepare for the reopening next school year. To wait until July could mean the potential candidates we have now will move on. To wait until July will mean that the pool of remaining candidates will mostly be those who were not hired elsewhere, and we will go into another school year of instability. Please understand that this decision you make tonight will have an impact on our children, our students, our future leaders. Board members, please do not hold off any longer in your search for principal. Let's move forward with the plan that has already been set in place. Thank you. My name is Christian Belker, and I'm the ASB president of Newark Memorial High School. I wanted to speak in support of our current principal, Ms. Olivia Rangel, to remain principal of Newark Memorial High School. In all honesty, these past 4 years have been rough because not once did we have a principal who genuinely cared for their students. You created an environment where we would not feel loved by admin. You created an environment where we did not feel loved by admin, where it seemed like admin did not care for us at all, an environment that felt unstable. And that was the feeling we had during the entire high school career. It wasn't until Ms. Rangel came to the high school where we finally felt like we mattered, but the board decided to bring her in 3 years too late. Ms. Rangel is someone who radiates positivity and love, someone who emphasizes individuality and creativity. Ms. Rangel has proven that she deserves to be principal at Newark Memorial High School, not for the next year, but for all years to come. Because she has put us students before anything else. She brought us back from the unstable and chaotic environment that you created. And I don't want for the class of 2021, 22, 23, and 24 to go through what the class of 2020 went through. Ms. Rangel is approachable, and she is able to provide stability, and she has created a positive environment. The class of 2020 didn't have any of those during our high school endeavor, but the class that come after us should. And there are so many things that are happening behind the scenes. She's been working day and night, especially for the class of 2020, because she cares about us. She is so understanding about how much we have lost, and she is doing her best to give us all that she can, and you make it hard for her. She is trying her absolute best to make the student body happy both while we were in school and during remote learning. You probably don't see it because you're here and not on campus. Most of the board members probably don't even know who I am because I barely know any of you. And can't you see that is an issue in itself? But that's not the point. The point is that if you really cared for your students, if you genuinely care, you know that Ms. Rangel is the right person to run Newark Memorial High School. Unless you want to keep bringing in principal after principal, the class after class will feel the same way we did, unstable. You know how amazing it would have been if we had the same principal all 4 years. You know that the connection that we'd be able to establish, you know how strong that connection would be if that principal was Olivia Rangel. But no, most of us are not like her. You don't put us students before your work, but she does. And she deserves to be principal at Newark Memorial High School because for the first time in 4 years, the students deserve someone like her.
Ms. Aquino, how many more, because I'm about to have to close the meeting, so how many more would we have to have at the end of the?
4.
4? Okay, so what we. Sorry, I apologize. I was speaking on mute. I know we have 4 remaining comments. We will have to recess this meeting as I close this meeting. We have 4 remaining speaker cards. We can complete those at the end of our regularly scheduled meeting. Okay, so with that, we recess to.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would. Well, in this case, it's not motion to adjourn, right? Because I'm recessing.
You're adjourning.
I'm adjourning this meeting. Okay. All right. I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
And then you'll have to call the next one to order.
Okay. May I have a motion in a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second, or no, I'll refrain, that's fine.
I'm sorry, my speaker was off. Was that Member Gutierrez?
Member Gutierrez motions, Member Nguyen seconds.
Okay, thank you. And may I have a vote? Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Gutierrez?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
My vote is yes, so meeting adjourned. Thank you.